99% of you are going to die on a highway. Not in a battle, not in a gunfight, not in some last stand you imagined from a video game. You're going to die sitting in your car. Air conditioning off because you're rationing fuel. Windows cracked because the heat is unbearable. Your family in the back seat, not talking anymore because there's nothing left to say. You've moved 6 miles in 11 hours. And somewhere in front of you, somewhere in the 30 miles of stopped steel that you can't see the end of, someone has decided they need your gas more than you need your life. This is the image the prepper industry will never show you, because they can't sell it to you. And because if you understood it, you'd stop buying their garbage. I am Raccoon Survival, and today I'm going to do something that will cost me subscribers. I'm going to tell you that every rural bunker influencer, every tactical bro with a promo code, every Instagram prepper posing in front of his cabin in Idaho, they have been selling you a fantasy. A beautiful, marketable, completely dead fantasy. Because the single most dangerous act you can perform when the world falls apart is to get in your car and try to drive out of a city of 2 million people at the same time as the other 1,999,999 idiots who had the exact same idea. You think you'll be smart. You think you'll leave early. You think you'll take the back roads. Let me tell you what the herd thinks. The herd thinks it'll leave early too. The herd thinks it'll take the back roads too. And when the herd is 1 million cars thick, there are no back roads. There is only the jam. There is only the funnel. There is only the slow, creeping death of sitting in a metal box while society's thin veneer peels off the people around you, 1 hour at a time. So today I'm going to give you the truth the rural cabin crowd cannot monetize. 5 urban locations, 5 specific building types, 5 fortresses that are hiding in plain sight in every American city, right now, within 20 miles of wherever you are sitting. Each one was accidentally designed to survive collapse. Each one has walls thicker than your imagination. Each one has supplies that would take you 10 years of Amazon orders to stockpile. And the fifth one is going to make you look at the skyline of your nearest city differently for the rest of your life. Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And once you understand it, the idea of bugging out into the forest is going to sound like exactly what it is: suicide with a backpack. But before I name them, you need to understand something. You cannot just pick any building. You cannot just say, I'll hide in the mall. I'll hole up in the office tower. I'll break into the school down the street. The herd is going to think of those too. The herd is going to flood those too. And the herd is going to turn those into the same death funnel that the highways become. So what makes a real urban fortress different from a death trap with a fancy facade? I call it the 5 pillars. This is the doctrine. This is the filter. This is what separates survivable urban structures from expensive tombs. And every single location I'm about to describe passes all 5 pillars. Miss even one pillar and you are not in a fortress. You are in a coffin with better lighting. Pillar 1, self-contained water. Not a water source nearby, not a creek you plan to walk to. Self-contained, meaning the building itself has water on site that does not depend on municipal pressure. Rooftop tanks, backup cisterns, boiler systems holding thousands of gallons, fire suppression reservoirs. Because when the grid goes, the taps go with it. And the human body dies in 3 days without water. A building that stores its own water has already solved the problem that kills most refugees in the first 72 hours. Pillar 2, thick walls, real walls, concrete, reinforced masonry, industrial steel. I'm not talking about your drywall apartment where a sneeze goes through the bedroom wall. I'm talking about walls that stop bullets, stop fires, stop the kind of desperate humans who will try to come through them on day 6 when they haven't eaten. The prepper industry sells you body armor. Smart people pick buildings that are body armor. Pillar 3, multiple exits. Every fortress must also be a ship, meaning if the fortress becomes compromised, if fire takes the east wing, if the herd breaches the lobby, if the roof collapses, You must be able to leave by 3 different routes, minimum. The death trap of a fortress is the one with a single, beautiful front door. The survival fortress has service corridors, loading docks, freight elevators, maintenance tunnels, rooftop access, basement exits, fire stairs, and at least one way out nobody else in the building has ever thought about. Pillar 4. Defensible elevation. The high ground isn't a movie trope, it's a physics law. Anyone attacking a building from ground level is fighting gravity, fighting sight lines, fighting the natural human instinct to not stand in the open below a window. Elevation means warning time. Elevation means a second to react. Elevation means the people coming for your supplies have to announce their arrival from half a mile away because you are looking at them from above. Pillar 5. Pre-existing supplies. This is the one the prepper industry hates most because they cannot sell it to you. They want you to buy the buckets, buy the freeze-dried meals, buy the 10-year food kits. But the smartest fortress is one that already has a warehouse of supplies inside it. Supplies you could never stockpile in your apartment. Medical supplies, industrial food storage, tools you cannot buy at the hardware store, chemicals, fuels, equipment, machinery. The 5 Pillars Doctrine says this: don't bring supplies to the fortress. Pick a fortress that already has them. Those are the 5 pillars, and anything that fails one of them is not on my list. Which brings us to location number 1, and this one is so obvious that 9 out of 10 preppers will reject it immediately because they've been told for 20 years that it's a no-go zone. They're wrong, and I'm going to prove it. Location 1. The hospital complex. Not the urgent care, not the little clinic, not the dock-in-a-box on the corner. I'm talking about the full complex, the regional medical center, the teaching hospital, the building that takes up 4 city blocks and has its own helipad on the roof. Let me tell you what the tactical bros get wrong about hospitals, and let me tell you what Raccoon Survival knows about them. The tactical bro hears hospital and thinks sick people, disease, contamination, chaos, crowds. And in the first 48 hours of a collapse, he's right. In the first 48 hours, a hospital is the single worst place on earth. It is packed with the wounded, the dying, the desperate. It is a biological nightmare and a psychological horror show. Raccoon Survival does not go to the hospital on day 1. Raccoon Survival watches the hospital burn itself out, because by day 4, day 5, something extraordinary happens. The hospital empties. The walking wounded leave in search of their families. The dying complete their dying. The staff, the ones who stayed heroic for 3 days, run out of food and fuel and hope, and they leave too. And what remains inside that 4-block complex is the single most resource-rich structure in any American city. And it passes all 5 pillars like they were built specifically to test it. Pillar 1, self-contained water. Every major hospital stores between 50,000 and 200,000 gallons of water on site in backup tanks, because the building code requires it for fire suppression and patient care continuity. That's a 30-person group drinking and washing for years, not weeks, years. Pillar 2, thick walls. Hospitals are built to seismic code, fire code, and in many cities, hurricane code. The exterior walls are reinforced concrete or reinforced masonry. The interior corridors are designed to contain fire for 2 to 4 hours, meaning the walls resist almost everything short of military ordnance. A desperate mob with crowbars will spend hours trying to break through a single hospital interior wall. Pillar 3, multiple exits. A hospital is a maze on purpose. There are ambulance bays, staff entrances, physician parking tunnels, loading docks for food service, loading docks for medical supplies, cafeteria service exits, laundry chutes, bio-waste removal exits, rooftop helipads, and at least 4 separate fire stair systems. I have counted the exits on a 300-bed regional hospital and stopped at 23. 23 ways out of the building. some of them completely unknown to 90% of the hospital's own staff. Pillar 4. Defensible elevation. Hospitals are tall. 5 to 15 floors is standard. The upper floors are above the line of sight from any street-level crowd. The roof is accessible via fire stairs you control, and the helipad gives you a rooftop observation position with 360 degrees of visibility over the surrounding blocks. Pillar 5. Pre-existing supplies. This is where the hospital becomes a fortress instead of just a building. Backup generators with diesel reserves for 72 to 96 hours of grid-independent power. Industrial kitchens with walk-in freezers and pantries stocked for hundreds of patients. Linen supplies, cleaning chemicals, fuel storage for the generators, sometimes 10,000 gallons or more. Medical supplies beyond anything you could imagine, not just bandages and pills, but surgical tools. Sterilization equipment, oxygen generators, IV fluids, antibiotics that have not been recalled from the shelves like every commercial pharmacy on day one, and I haven't even gotten to the equipment. Autoclaves, incubators, portable X-ray units. A hospital is a civilization kit in a concrete box. But the tactical bro says, but what about contamination, Raccoon? What about disease? Let me teach you something. Hospitals are the most aggressively disinfected buildings on the planet. When the staff leaves on day 4, they leave behind surfaces that have been sanitized more times in the last week than your home has been in its entire existence. The actual biological risk zone is the emergency department and the morgue. Everything else, the administrative wings, the upper patient floors, the cafeteria, the maintenance areas, the backup power rooms, is cleaner than your kitchen. You avoid 2 rooms in a 4-block building. That's the whole skill. So here's the multiplier rule applied to location 1. The hospital gives you water, it gives you food, it gives you power, it gives you medical supplies that will save your life when the inevitable infection happens. It gives you defensible walls and elevation. It gives you multiple exits. It gives you a position to observe the city from above. And it gives you something none of the other 4 locations give you. Medicine. Real medicine. Because I can promise you this, day 30 into the collapse, the single most valuable currency in any city will not be food. It will not be water. It will be antibiotics. And the person sitting in the cleaned-out upper floor of a regional medical center is going to be the wealthiest person for 10 miles. But the hospital has a weakness. It is a magnet. The very reason it works, the supplies, the medicine, the walls, means that by day 14, every desperate group in the city knows what you know, and they are coming. Which is why no single fortress is the answer. Which is why this doctrine is about 5 fortresses, not 1. Because you do not stay in one place forever, you move between them. And the second location is the one that feeds you when the hospital is under siege. Location 2, the university campus. And before you laugh, before you say, "Come on, Raccoon, a college campus?" Let me stop you. You are thinking of the campus as a social institution. I am looking at it as an engineered resource facility. Because that's what a university actually is. Every tactical bro looks at a university and sees students, beer pong, liberal arts. They see the building as a social object. They do not see the infrastructure. They do not see the 100-year-old steam tunnels under the quad. They do not see the 40-foot rooftop water tanks on the science buildings. They do not see the cafeteria service contracts that move 80 tons of food a week through the campus dining system. They do not see the fact that a major research university is a self-contained small city with its own utilities, its own security force, its own medical facilities, its own food service, its own fuel depots, and, critically, its own housing for 10,000 people. Let me show you why the university passes the 5 pillars. Pillar 1, self-contained water. Every large campus has multiple rooftop water storage tanks for dormitory buildings, research buildings, and athletic facilities. Cooling towers on the HVAC systems hold thousands of gallons. Many older campuses have ornamental water features, fountains, reflecting pools, that are actually connected to large cisterns. And the science buildings themselves often have dedicated water storage for emergency wash stations because the chemistry and biology departments require it by federal regulation. A mid-sized research university has more stored water than most small towns. Pillar 2. Thick walls. This is where the herd gets it wrong. They look at a modern campus and see glass buildings, and they assume weakness. They are not looking at the right buildings. Every major university has at least 3 or 4 older structures from the 1920s, 1930s, 1950s. Buildings with 2-foot thick masonry walls, limestone facades. Interior walls built with methods we do not use anymore because they were designed to last 300 years. These are your fortress buildings. Not the new glass library, the old brick chemistry building, the old stone administration building, the old concrete gymnasium. Any one of these buildings will stop a riot. Some of them will stop a tank. Pillar 3. Multiple exits. A campus is defined by multiple exits. Every building has at least 4. Between buildings, there are steam tunnels, maintenance corridors, underground service routes that connect entire sections of the campus. The 100-year-old universities have tunnel systems so extensive that faculty have gotten lost in them for hours. You can traverse 3 buildings without ever coming above ground. Try doing that in a rural cabin. Pillar 4. Defensible elevation. Dormitory towers, library stacks, bell towers and clock towers, science buildings with rooftop observatory platforms. Every campus has elevated positions, and the campus layout, almost without exception, is designed around a central quad with sightlines in every direction. You own the high ground automatically. Pillar 5. Pre-existing supplies. This is the piece that will stop the tactical bros cold. A university campus holds more pre-existing survival supplies than any other category of urban structure because it is designed to feed, house, medicate, and maintain a population of 20 to 60,000 people every single day. The dining commons, the food service warehouses, the bookstore's inventory, which on most campuses includes a full hardware section, the campus medical center with its own pharmacy, the physical plant building with its tools, fuel, chemicals, industrial equipment, and vehicle fleet, the chemistry stockrooms with laboratory-grade reagents, alcohols, and acids, the biology departments with their freezers and growth chambers, the agriculture department, if the campus has one, with its actual agricultural equipment and seed storage. And I haven't even mentioned the athletic departments. Every major university athletic complex has water tanks, industrial laundry facilities, training-grade nutritional stockpiles, medical supplies for sports medicine, and equipment you didn't know existed. The multiplier rule applied to location 2 is almost cartoonish. A university gives you food, water, shelter, medical care, tools, chemicals, fuel, transportation in the form of the campus motor pool, chemistry, biology, manufacturing capability in the engineering department, and housing for hundreds of people in the dormitories. It is, without exaggeration, the single richest pre-stocked survival location in any American city. And the tactical bros ignore it because they went to the wrong kind of university, or because they didn't go at all, and they cannot see past the social label on the building. The weakness of the university is that it is too valuable. By day 21, organized groups will know, and the campus is too big to defend with a small team, which means the campus is not your permanent home. It is your supply depot. You raid it. You stockpile from it. You use its tunnels to move between buildings unseen. And when the pressure comes, you move to location 3, which is the location nobody in the prepper world will ever tell you about, because it is so unglamorous, so boring, so invisible, that even the people who drive past it every day do not see it. Location 3, the self-storage facility. And I can hear the complaints already. Raccoon, it's just garages. Raccoon, it's full of other people's junk. Raccoon, how is a storage unit a fortress? Let me explain. And let me explain why this is the single most underrated urban survival location in existence, and why, if you map one within 10 miles of where you live, you have given yourself an advantage that 99% of preppers will never understand. The modern self-storage facility is not what people imagine. The old image, a row of roll-up doors in a sketchy parking lot, is dead. Walk through any medium or large American city today, and you will find a new breed of self-storage facility. Multi-story, climate-controlled, built out of reinforced concrete and corrugated steel, designed as a modern industrial fortress that almost nobody thinks about because almost nobody goes inside. These facilities are going up in every metro area in the country right now, and they are silently becoming the best-kept secret in urban survival. Let me walk you through the 5 pillars. Pillar 1, self-contained water. This one is partial. Self-storage facilities do not store water the way hospitals do, but here is what they do have: large HVAC systems with chilled water reservoirs, rooftop cooling tower tanks, and, critically, sprinkler systems fed by dedicated on-site water storage tanks that are required by fire code when the facility reaches a certain size. A multi-story self-storage has 10 to 30,000 gallons in its fire suppression system alone. Pillar 2, thick walls. This is where self-storage becomes extraordinary. Modern multi-story self-storage buildings are made from reinforced concrete tilt-up panels or corrugated steel over steel framing. The exterior walls are designed to survive hurricanes, fires, and, in climate-controlled facilities, are double insulated for thermal stability. Individual storage units are divided by corrugated steel partitions that are not themselves fortress-grade, but the building envelope itself is exceptional. And unlike a hospital, where the exterior has hundreds of windows, a self-storage facility has almost none. 3 or 4 small windows on an entire multi-story building is typical. This is a building designed from the ground up to keep the outside world outside. Pillar 3, multiple exits. Every facility has at least 1 main entrance, 1 loading dock, 1 emergency fire exit per floor, per wing, and rooftop access. Large facilities have freight elevators, stairwells at multiple corners, and service entrances. And here is the quiet advantage. The building is designed to be traversed by strangers carrying large objects, which means the corridors are wide, the elevators are oversized, and the whole interior is built for movement. Pillar 4, defensible elevation. Modern urban self-storage facilities are commonly 4 to 6 stories tall. Upper floors give you observation and elevation. The rooftop is flat, wide, and has railings, making it a natural observation post and, with minor work, a defensive position. Pillar 5, pre-existing supplies. And this is the pillar that nobody sees. Every storage unit in that building contains somebody's stuff, somebody's furniture, somebody's winter clothes, somebody's tools, somebody's emergency preps, because a large percentage of the people who rent storage units are preppers, storing overflow supplies, estate executors holding entire households in limbo, small business owners storing inventory. The average multi-story self-storage facility contains, inside its walls, the combined survival value of 200 to 600 middle-class households. Furniture to burn for heat, tools, clothing in every size, camping gear, unopened cases of bottled water, canned food that people forgot about, weapons that people hid from spouses, cash that people hid from the IRS. I am not telling you to loot it. I am telling you that if you are in a position where civilization no longer exists and your family is freezing, the building you are standing in is the largest pre-stocked supply cache within 10 miles of where you live, and the herd does not know it. The multiplier on self-storage is this: you get the stuff of hundreds of strangers, compressed into a single, defensible concrete box with almost no windows. Which is why organized groups who understand this doctrine mark the self-storage facilities before the hospitals. Because the hospital has medicine, but the self-storage has everything else that a human being has ever wanted to keep. And IDLs, perimeter walls, structural shear walls, the entire building is a cage of concrete and rebar. A parking garage is one of the few urban structures that can take a direct hit from a vehicle bomb and stay standing. Pillar 3. Multiple exits. Here is where the parking garage becomes spectacular. Multiple vehicle ramps connecting every floor. Multiple pedestrian stairwells, typically 4 to 6 of them in a full-size garage. Elevator shafts that can be manually climbed. Multiple street-level vehicle exits on different sides of the building. A parking garage is the only urban structure where you can drive out of the fortress on any of 4 sides, at any of 6 levels, through any of multiple ramps. It is a transportation hub built into a fortress. Pillar 4. Defensible elevation. Every floor above ground level. Sightlines across the entire surrounding neighborhood from the top deck. 360 degrees of observation. The ability to position lookouts at multiple elevations simultaneously, and, critically, the ability to control ramps. You can block one ramp with a single vehicle and force all traffic through a choke point of your choosing. Pillar 5. Pre-existing supplies. And this is the piece the prepper industry has never written about. The parking garage, on day 3 of a collapse, contains several hundred vehicles. Every single one of those vehicles contains fuel in its gas tank. Every single one contains a battery. Many contain tools in the trunk. Many contain emergency supplies. Some contain weapons. Some contain cash. Most contain oil, coolant, windshield washer fluid that can be improvised into fuels and chemicals. The garage is, functionally, a parts warehouse of several hundred vehicles that nobody is coming back to claim. You can siphon fuel from 200 gas tanks. You can pull batteries for electrical power. You can disassemble vehicles for steel, wiring, and glass. The parking garage is your fuel depot, your parts warehouse, and your vehicle reserve, all inside an impenetrable concrete cage at an elevation you control, with multiple exits you can close at will. The multiplier on the parking garage is the most underrated in all of urban survival. Because when the hospital runs out, when the university is overrun, when the self-storage is empty, the parking garage is still sitting there, still full of concrete, still full of fuel in the tanks of vehicles that have been sitting for 3 months. Still giving you the one thing no other location gives you: the ability to leave on wheels while the herd is walking on blistered feet. But the parking garage has its own weakness. It is open to the air. It is cold in winter, hot in summer, wet in rain. It is not a place you live, it is a place you operate from. Your living quarters must be in one of the other fortresses. Your vehicles and your fuel are in the garage. And the garage brings us to location 5, the location that will change how you see every American city for the rest of your life. Location 5, the abandoned industrial plant. And before I describe this, I want you to understand something. Every American city has them, every single one. You have driven past dozens without ever seeing them, because you were trained not to see them. The old factory on the edge of downtown, the old warehouse complex near the rail line, the old power plant by the river, the old manufacturing building that's been for sale for 8 years, the old printing plant, the old meatpacking facility, the old chemical works, the old rail yard. Every American city has between 10 and 50 of these structures, sitting mostly empty, ignored by the living population, invisible to the prepper industry, and they are, without exaggeration, the most defensible structures that exist in the urban environment. Let me explain why. And let me tell you what the last 100 years of American industrial decline accidentally created, because this is the piece the tactical bros have never understood. The abandoned industrial plant was built, in almost every case, between 1900 and 1970. It was built to a standard we no longer build to. It was built with materials we no longer use. It was built by people who expected it to stand for 200 years because the industry that built it expected to still exist in 200 years. The industries died. The buildings did not. And now every American city has these massive, silent, over-engineered monsters sitting in its older districts, waiting. Pillar 1. Self-contained water. Most industrial plants were built with their own water systems because municipal water was not reliable enough for industrial processes. Dedicated wells on the property, massive reservoirs for process water, cooling water, boiler feed water, rooftop and elevated tanks holding tens of thousands of gallons. An abandoned industrial plant is often the single largest self-contained water source in its neighborhood. Pillar 2. Thick walls. I cannot overstate this. Industrial walls from this era are terrifying. 2-foot thick poured concrete, 3-foot thick brick and mortar, steel framed with corrugated siding over masonry. Firewalls designed to contain industrial fires for 8 hours. Interior walls that were built to survive explosions from the industrial processes themselves. These buildings were built to survive themselves blowing up. They are fortresses in a way that modern construction cannot match at any price. Pillar 3. Multiple exits. An industrial plant has exits for workers, exits for trucks, exits for rail cars, exits for emergencies, exits for utilities. Rail loading docks, truck loading docks, industrial garage doors, personnel doors on every side, rooftop access for equipment, basement access for utilities, tunnel systems for steam, water, and electrical. A large industrial plant has 30 to 50 exits, most of which are rusted, hidden, forgotten, and known only to someone who has mapped the building in advance. Pillar 4. Defensible elevation. Industrial plants have rooftops, smokestacks, elevated walkways, overhead crane rails, observation platforms, water towers, and multi-story office sections. The elevation options in a large industrial plant are greater than in almost any other structure type. You can observe from a height of 100 feet or more. Pillar 5. Pre-existing supplies. And this is where the abandoned industrial plant becomes something the prepper industry cannot process. Because when an industrial plant is abandoned, the equipment is rarely fully removed. Abandoned equipment means abandoned resources, abandoned steel stock, abandoned tools, abandoned chemicals in forgotten drums, abandoned fuel in forgotten tanks, abandoned electrical equipment, abandoned machinery that still runs if you know how to start it. I have been inside abandoned industrial plants where there were still drums of industrial lubricant, pallets of raw steel, functioning electrical substations, intact machine shops with lathes and mills that would cost $100,000 to replace, and tools still hanging on the walls where the last worker left them in 1987. But here is the darkest truth, the deepest truth. The truth that the prepper industry will never, ever tell you, because it does not serve their business model. The abandoned industrial plant is the only urban fortress where the herd will never come, because the herd is afraid of it. The herd sees the broken windows, the graffiti, the rust, the ruin, and the herd turns away. The herd reads abandoned as dangerous. The herd drives past it every day for 10 years and never enters. The herd would rather fight another 1,000 desperate people for a space in a hospital than walk alone into an empty factory. And this single fact is what makes the abandoned industrial plant the single most survivable location in any American city. Not because its walls are thickest, not because its supplies are richest, but because human psychology for 100,000 years has trained people to avoid the quiet, dark, big, broken building. And that psychology does not turn off when society collapses. It gets stronger. So while the herd is dying in the hospital stairwells, while organized groups are fighting over the university dining halls, while desperate families are picking padlocks off self-storage units, the person who understands this doctrine is sitting inside the abandoned meatpacking plant on the east side, with 10,000 square feet of concrete floor space, a rooftop observation post, a sealed water cistern, a machine shop, a loading dock that fits a vehicle, and walls that no one is coming through. Alone, unnoticed, invisible, for as long as they want. That is the fifth fortress, and once you learn to see them, You cannot stop seeing them. You will drive past 6 of them on your commute tomorrow. But the doctrine is not one fortress. The doctrine is 5 fortresses. And this is where everything I have told you connects into a single system. Because no single building survives forever. Every fortress has a clock. Every fortress has a siege. Every fortress eventually breaks. And the person who survives is not the person who picked one. It is the person who knows all 5 and moves between them on a schedule the enemy cannot predict. Here is how the 5 fortresses connect. Week 1, you go to the hospital. You take medicine. You take food. You take the things that will rot in 2 weeks if you don't. You leave before the herd arrives in force, which is day 4 to day 6. Week 2, you move to the university. The herd is still working through the hospital. The campus is emptier than people expect because students went home in the first 72 hours. You take food, you take tools, you take fuel, and you use the tunnel system to move unseen. Week 3, you stage at the self-storage facility. You open units that contain household goods. You take what you need. You leave no signs. You cache supplies inside 3 different units spread across the building. Week 4 and beyond, you alternate between the parking garage for vehicles, fuel, and mobility, and the abandoned industrial plant for permanent shelter that the herd cannot find because the herd will not look. And here is the dark truth I promised you at the beginning of this video. The one the prepper industry has never said out loud. Every urban fortress, every single one, has a 14-day window. For 14 days after collapse, these buildings are invisible to the herd. The herd is panicking. The herd is looking for family. The herd is trying to drive out of the city. The herd is fighting in the streets for bottled water. For 14 days, the fortresses are yours. After day 14, organized groups appear. Gangs consolidate. Militias form. And these groups are not stupid. They are reading the same doctrine you are reading right now. And they are coming for the same 5 building types. Which means your window to use these locations as refuges, as places you can simply hide and wait, is 2 weeks. After that, they become targets. After that, they become battlegrounds. After that, the doctrine shifts from fortification to movement, from hiding to raiding, from standing ground to vanishing. This is why I said at the beginning that 9 out of 10 of you will die. Because 9 out of 10 of you are going to wait until the collapse to think about this. You are going to be sitting in traffic on day 1 while the person who watched this video is already inside the hospital taking what they need. You are going to be walking home on day 2 while the person who watched this video is already mapping tunnel routes through the university. You are going to be begging at a gas station on day 3 while the person who watched this video is already siphoning fuel from 300 abandoned cars in a parking garage they own. And on day 4, when you finally understand what is happening, the fortresses will be occupied and you will be on the outside, looking up at a building with thick walls and somebody else's silhouette in the window. So here is the ultimatum, and this is the only thing I will ask of you today. Stop the video. Open a map of your city, and in the next 72 hours, drive to each of these 5 location types within 20 miles of your home. A regional hospital, a university campus, a multi-story self-storage facility, a downtown parking garage, an abandoned industrial plant. 5 buildings, 1 weekend. That's all I'm asking. Walk the perimeters, photograph the entrances, count the exits, note the elevation points, mark the water systems, and put them on a paper map, not a phone, a paper map that you keep in your vehicle. Because when it happens, your phone is a brick, the internet is gone, the roads are jammed, and the only thing that will save your life is the knowledge you carry in your head and on that folded piece of paper. The city is not your enemy. The city is a maze, and in every maze, there are 5 rooms that survive. Know the 5 rooms. Know the paths between them. Know which one shelters you in week 1, which one feeds you in week 2, Which one arms you in week 3? Which one moves you in week 4? Which one hides you in week 5 and beyond? And the 99% who fled on the highway, who are bones in their cars by then, will not even understand what you did. They will not even know these buildings existed. They will have driven past them their whole lives without seeing them. The herd runs. The herd dies on the road. The 1% stays. The 1% picks the fortress. And the fortress was always hiding in plain sight. You have been watching Raccoon Survival. In the next episode, I'm going to show you the illegal stockpile nobody can legally own, the one hidden in the basement of every American city, and why the government has spent 60 years making sure you never find it. If you have the nerve for that, the subscribe button is the only thing between you and the truth. Don't blink. The next video is going to be worse than this one.